Hi Leo, welcome to your end of May 2020 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. So you have a new moon coming up in Gemini, and for you, this is your 11th house of hopes and wishes. Ooh, very good time to set intentions. This is supposed to be the luckiest house. And set some intentions, launch some rockets of desire. I just used that in another reading. That's Abraham Hicks, by the way, in case you didn't know. Whoa, some of my cards fell out. All right, let me take a sip of lemon water. Boy, those first three cards are pretty intense. Right? Okay, making sure that. Okay, let me think about this astrologically to see if there's something going on, something in the water for you. I'm thinking about like money, a fight over money, inheritance. Let me see what. Yeah. Leo. Yeah. Well, I was thinking what astrologically could have happened in the recent past that could be informing this reading. So we had a supermoon, very intense, very, very powerful moon in Scorpio, very powerful sign. And for you, Leo, Scorpio is the fourth house of home and family. And, this is obviously a general reading, and some of you may have actually had this in the third house. And if so, that would have been the house of siblings. And that could also come into play here because we could be talking about family members. I'm trying to think, let me see, about your fifth house and your seventh house, Aquarius. And your fifth house would be Sag. Well, I'll say with Sagittarius, we are having a lunar eclipse happening on June 5th. Now, this reading is for the last portion of the month of May, and sometimes it is said that the eclipses can affect people up to a month before the actual date. So perhaps you being this house, the fifth house that has to do with love, is something that you're realizing something about the person that you're with, because there's some cards here that are very much associated with, to me, deception and even leaving a relationship. The heart of the matter, the Five of Swords, and this could be in the workplace too. You can see there's people in the background. This person has more than one sword. It looks like they have three swords, and there's a couple on the ground. Sometimes this is interpreted to mean an empty, like a hollow victory, that you win the battle and you lose the war. And, doing so would come because the person maybe trampled over the rights of somebody else. So let's say in the workplace, kind of that Machiavellian mentality of trying to get one over on another person, but to your own detriment, because then you end up making yourself look bad, because you have done something underhanded, okay? This is about doing something underhanded. Sometimes this can involve slander. So if you are involved with like a narcissist who they are on a smear campaign, the narcissistic smears are something that are, I think, commonly reported among those who are victims of narcissists. And the point being that your reputation may feel like it is under attack, and you might feel the sense of like, this is unfair, I'm being dragged through the mud and all that. So it all depends on, and in your personal life, this could be like your partner cheating on you, but to add insult to injury, they tell the other party or parties, if they're just sleeping around indiscriminately, that you are the issue. That, you know, that you're the reason that they have to cheat. So, I mean, I could tell you a million things, but something underhanded. Typically, I don't see that the average Leo person would be the one doing this. Fire signs tend to be above board. The only time when this may happen is if the Leo person has an afflicted sun. What if your moon is in Scorpio and you have the shadow side that is very, very front and center emotionally within yourself, that feels that sense of envy and competitiveness. Yeah, and even with, you know, Leo might have competitive traits too. Usually though, Leo is confident enough not to compete. They already think they're great, so they don't need to compete. But when a Leo person does not feel that sense of confidence, then that's when it becomes a problem. As it can be for any sign, of course, not just Leo. That sense of imbalance and the dark side, you know, tends to show up. But I think that this is likely the other party. And so it's really just a matter of coming to terms with it and accepting it, not minimizing it. In the past position, we have the Five of Pentacles, and this is a card of poverty consciousness. So, for instance, if a Leo person who grew up or perhaps went through a tough period in their life where they didn't have material resources in enough amount to feel safe, or maybe even this is from a past life, and so usually Leo is very generous, but if they have come from deprivation, economic deprivation, or they just came into this lifetime maybe with memories of economic deprivation underneath the surface, that can lead to getting one over on somebody else. An example would be, going back to the situation of the narcissist, let's say that you have a parent who's a narcissist, maybe a mother. We're talking about this recent full moon. Perhaps that brought out a lot of this psychodrama that's been going on. And if you had a parent who passed away, for instance, and you got all the money because you were the golden child, you were the one that they always held up, and he or she, either parent or both parents, praised you over the other siblings, and so you get the inheritance, all the inheritance. I've heard about this happening, you know, where they only give it to one of the children. And to the outside world, they may say, well, those other children must all be bums. I mean, I'm saying, you know, deadbeats, they must have given their parents a lot of problems. No, not necessarily at all. It could be that they were the ones that were targeted, or if there were two siblings and one was favored and the other one was not. And the other one was actually the scapegoat. And you get all the money, and then you do not share it with them because you can use the excuse, well, you didn't get it, it wasn't in the will. I feel like that would be a very rare occasion for Leo because you tend to be very generous, but there might be something fear-based that has made you like this. I think it's not you because we have the higher message that is speaking about walking away. And so there's this kind of feeling that I'm not being fulfilled. Now, if, for instance, this person is a sibling who is trying to cheat the others in the family, excuse me, or it could be even, more than one person conspiring. You may feel like this sense of outrage, and in some cases, perhaps it's perfectly within your right to fight it because you deserve it. However, if the act of fighting it creates a lot more animosity and just negativity, you may decide that it's not worth it. And if a parent did leave more money to other siblings, or maybe all of the money to a particular sibling, and a lawyer tells you, oh, you can fight this, but you just feel like it's going to create more negative emotions, and maybe within yourself, you feel like it's undignified for you to do this. What you can do to kind of break free from that is say, if that person didn't want to give that to me, then I don't want their money. And you don't have to take it any further than that. If they didn't want to give it to me, I don't want it. The thing that hurts is if it's a close family member, it feels like rejection. It feels like a big F you. But other than that, even in those types of situations, people who are undeveloped, who are in pain, they oftentimes lash out. Sometimes they put their faith in the wrong relative or other person. I mean, that happens. It's not any reflection on you and how good of a son or daughter you were, or a friend, or whatever to that person. Sometimes people, they really treat the worst the people that are the best to them because of their own issues. So being able to walk away can be very freeing, but also, very liberating. But it's also this sense, this is the spiritual message. So you may just be on this path where you're just not as enamored by the same things anymore. Excuse me. And when I think about your 8th house, which is, I associate with the 8 of Cups, I think about the transit of Neptune in that house, and how that may be impacting your spiritual life. And it can make you much more willing to sacrifice. And kind of like, and I think that in true sacrifice, there's such a humility there. What's coming in is represented by the Knight of Swords. It's funny because it's almost like, well, let me go to this card because I jumped ahead of myself. But seeing that Knight of Swords, because that can be a lawyer, or you even speaking out. What crosses you is the Queen of Cups, so there may be some kind of not seeing the things, not sensing something psychically, not being in tune with your intuition. And by the way, this could be in the workplace that this is playing out, where you have people that are against you. They may be talking against you, they may be plotting against you, and you're coming from this place of maybe lack consciousness where you feel like you have to be there because you need that job. When I say lack consciousness, maybe saying, well, there's no other jobs, just the typical things. And this is not to say that there may not be truth to that. It's just that with the Eight of Cups, the lack of spiritual fulfillment may be more draining than not having the money on the energetic level. So the Knight of Swords can be about the need to speak out and to stop. If you're going to stay in that place, to not be the victim, to state your truth, not in a hostile way, but just in a forthright manner. For some people, this can be in the case of a narcissist, somebody who's trying to badmouth you, that you are going to tell people, no, that's not true. That person is not telling the truth about me. And being willing to state that and not be afraid that, oh gosh, I'm making this person look bad. No, they're making themselves look bad. That's on them. And the outcome is the Four of Pentacles, and this is about, this is holding on to your money. If there is something to do with some kind of money that you have received, you're going to be a wise steward of that money. This is a card of financial stability, financial security. So whether you stay where you are or you're going, whether this is a personal relationship or a professional one, you are in a good place. Other people may try to, maybe that Five of Pentacles is being threatened with unemployment, or maybe you are unemployed. Maybe the Five of Pentacles can be money problems, or being, losing your job. Now, this is in the past position, so this would have already occurred. I'm thinking about your 6th house, and it's interesting because you had Saturn there for a long time. So there may have been you may have had a lot of heavy, maybe karmic situations show up for you in the workplace, and 6th house can be co-workers too. So maybe you had these karmic co-workers, but also, having to really put in some serious work to get where you are. And with Pluto also there, now Saturn has gone into 7th house, but Saturn has gone retrograde and will go back into the 6th house back in July. We'll go back into Capricorn in July. So, obviously house placement is going to differ from Leo to Leo. But yeah, with Pluto there, you may be dealing with a lot of power issues in the workplace. It's not a one-way street. It's not like, oh, I'm the victim. It also brings out within you your shadow of needing to be the head honcho. You know, Leo's a great leader, but sometimes leaders have to be developed. A person may not be able to step into that role if they have any kind of negative egoic traits that make them autocratic, for instance. Like they're, you know, kind of like a dictator. You know, there's democratic and there's autocratic. Auto meaning, you know, the self. And it's like they're governing just based on their own needs. So there's a selfishness with that. So if you are, but that can lead to assuming power, to have Pluto there as well. It's not just, and even wealth. But the problem or the challenge is to deal with people that resent you for your success. And Pluto can indicate some of that covert action going on with coworkers. And but you emerge as the Four of Pentacles, so it's all good, basically, is what I'm saying. Okay, Leo, that's what I have for you. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.